something happens to my mom, I'm not, I might not be here at church anymore. So, oh, some congregation. I had to get a text. Usually they text saying, I got a text right now. So.
It says we're on our way, we're running late because my wife didn't get off work in time.
Hey, I gave them options. I said, Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day, or Monday through Thursday, 10 hours a day. So, no, that wasn't the text. That was.
Start showing up at 5:30 in the morning. Gotta get my time.
It's a little too early. Ideally, I was hoping it'd be Sunday through Wednesdays. Yeah, that would screw things up. It's not my problem. That's Howard's problem. Yeah, I'm this Sunday. Yeah. I was confused at first too.
Like fabulous, only Fabiola.
As in ravioli, but with an A. Raviola. Rhymes with Ebola?
Ebola spreading all over Africa. They had more deaths this time than in 2014. I'm glad we didn't go. Even though Malawi hasn't had any cases, I still. It only takes one person.
Well, the problem is the people
All right,
it's come from other places.
Children, 7:30. Children, it's 7:30. All right, welcome to our Tuesday night Bible study. It's 7:30, so like good Germans, we begin on time. Welcome to, yes, we blame the Germans for everything, including good food. So tonight we are in session 13. We've spent how many weeks just with chapters with the name Noah alone? Chapter 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we spent an extra 2 on chapter 6. So we've spent 8 weeks, 2 months in chapters that had the name Noah in it. And today it ends with regards to Genesis, in regards to Genesis.
So you're going to get the account of Noah's children and grandchildren.
Correct. So before we begin, last week, the animals that departed from the ark? There were what kinds? The clean and unclean. How many of the clean ones were brought into the ark for sacrificing? 7 pairs, right? And then how many of the normal ones, unclean, are 2? So that means.
No, clean are the ones that you can eat. They're kosher and they're used for food and sacrifice.
So that goes back probably, I would say, even to the Garden of Eden when the Lord sacrificed the first animal. It probably was a clean animal. Again, that trail runs all the way through. I guess it ends in Yeshua, the perfect sacrifice. All right, so there were 2. The animals that came in were two of each kind. Again, not species. Remember, the sparrows that were Darwin found in the Galapagos, they were sparrows. Even though one island had bigger beak than the other, you could crossbreed them. It's not different kinds. They're just of the same species. So again, this is something I wrestle with. How do you go from 2 animals to all the animals we have today? Now we have to remember it's been well over 4,000 years, right? And animals multiply pretty quickly. Let me give you an example. So look at this here. Should look familiar. This is the beginning of the Grand Canyon. Anyone who's been here a couple times for my flood presentation, this is where the Grand Canyon begins. This is the Kaibat Plateau. There's another elevation here. So interesting about the Kaibab Plateau, there was a disaster between 1906 and around 1930. So this is the Kaibab Plateau in Arizona. So at the time, President Theodore Roosevelt, he was a big hunter. He designated this a protected area. So what he did is all the predatory animals that live on the plateau, he got rid of. He killed them: bears, wolves, coyotes, everything. So this is a plateau. It's an elevation, but it's flat. So this is part of probably the Grand Canyon, one of the side canyons. That was carved out by water, but that's for another lesson.
Aliens.
No, not aliens, Rabbi. You're thinking of Genesis 6. No. We can't say the N word anymore. So yeah, no more. Yeah, we're Nephilim out. So this is picture Kaibab Plateau. This is what it looks like. So it's an elevation. So basically, what's up there, it's almost very hard for them to get off of that. That's a sort of a self-sufficient, self-sustained area there. So what happened was they killed off all the predatory animals. So by 1906, they estimated they had about 4,000 deer. No mule deer, no predators. That's what a mule deer is. They're pretty big. By 1924, they were an estimated 100,000. So that kind of gives you an idea. Animals can reproduce pretty quickly, and this is only in a time span of 18 years. So that it shouldn't be surprising that from two animals, we have what we have today. Also, if you remember from chapter 9, he gave Noah a command. He says, "Now you can eat all the animals you want, um, birds, fish, creeping things." But he probably told them that many, many, many decades after these animals had run out. Otherwise, if he would have said that the day they got out of the ark, what would have happened? Yeah, so I think a lot of time had expired before he gave this. Even though it makes it sound like it may have happened right away. No, a lot of time happened before that. So anyway, just a little example in recent history that animals will reproduce quickly and multiply in numbers. Mule deer. So why does it matter? Just as I was explaining that, because from two animals we have everything we have today. And again, remember, zebras and horses are all part of the same animal. You can crossbreed them. I don't think they can reproduce, but you can do that. And we've seen this in other presentations where all dogs are derived from the gray wolf. So the little Chihuahua has traits, markings that come back to the gray wolf. So all the other dogs we have out there, all the different types of dogs. So again, we shouldn't be surprised with the different varieties we have within the kinds of animals today.
Here in Maryland, we had mule deer at one time in great numbers, but they were wiped out by hunting and stuff. And so as trains were coming eastward, they would go to Missouri, load up these little tiny deer we have today, the whitetails, and throw them on the train and then let them loose in this area. And this is only since the 1900s, since the railroads, right?
Yeah.
And we have 25,000 deer strikes in Montgomery County alone every year. Right. That tells you how multiplied they are.
Yeah, another thing you have to think about, whenever there's a forest fire that decimates a part of the forest, it only takes about 10 years for it to come back to how it was before.
There's no hunters out there. That many hunters out there anyway.
Oh yeah, that's true. And again, I don't think this where animals were allowed to, predators, what we call predators, they were allowed to eat. I don't think God allowed that till animals had, certainly populated. Yeah.
Not anymore. They've all been pushed away.
Okay. All right. I know this is I don't want to get too off subject, but this is things we have to kind of address because the world's going to ask us that. How did all these animals from two get to where they are? Let's see. What's another one we're looking at here? Oh yeah. So anyway, before we even begin, so this is here a picture of Turkey, modern day Turkey. Remember this name. This is Lake Van. It's a huge lake. Here's Mount Ararat. And then the Ararat, the lesser, is either I think over here. We've seen pictures, and this is where they believe they've discovered Noah's Ark. It's a officially recognized park in Turkey by the Turkish government, discovered in the 80s. There's a feature there that anyway I won't go into too much, but It was in the mountains of Ararat, somewhere up here. Okay. Now, why did I bring this up? Because last week I said, okay, that's Mount Ararat there. Last week I said, remember back in 1994, they started digging up this site here called Gobekli Tepe, which means potbelly hill, Tepe. And it kind of threw the archaeological upside down because everything there predated, what they've discovered, and they thought, again, they're using human reasoning. They're not using biblical knowledge to analyze it, but it kind of threw the world upside down. Then even they discovered another one called Karahan Tepe, which is, they believe, is even older. They've only uncovered 4, maybe 5% of the site, and they're not going to dig anymore for some reason. So it's a pretty big site. You can go online, look at it. There's plenty of articles on it, really interesting things on it. So when a friend brought this up to me, now this friend is a humanist, so doesn't believe in the scriptures. And I was thinking, where is it? And she told me, well, it's in south central Turkey. And I thought, interesting, because if you look at the geology, the landscape here, if the descendants of Noah lived here, there's many ways. Which way would they end up towards the Fertile Crescent? I said those most likely may have been descendants from Noah before they were gathered in the plain of plain of Dura there, where the Tower of Babel, which we'll get to next week. But again, let's see.
What country is south of there?
This is Iraq, Iran, Armenia. So anyway, so that's going on here. The wrong way. We'll get to it a little bit later because it's pretty interesting. So I said, okay, this is where the Tower of Babel was, right in this area here, somewhere in that circle. I'll circle it later. Again, this is Lake Van here. This is this site. This is Mount Ararat. Just to give you an idea, this is where the Fertile Crescent begins, the headwaters of the rivers there, up there. So some theories has, okay, they came from there, and as we'll look next week, it says they went to the Tower of Babel. They came from the east, which is very interesting. But other translations say they went eastward. So we're going to have to decide for which one makes a big difference, whether they came from the east or they went towards the east. But anyway, here's one school of thought. The only problem with this school of thought, again, this is my opinion, is you have this huge mountain range in Iran, and I kind of knew this, but I didn't really have looked into this. They're called the Zagros mountain range. These are huge mountains. Are people really going to hike over? They could with animals, but this is a formidable mountain range to cross. This is Tehran in the winter, the capital of Iran. Of course, they're further north towards, I think, the Caspian Sea by the mountain range there, but it's snowy. Again, here's the site, Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe. Now, what you see here is flat areas. So I thought, well, that's pretty formidable there. And I was taking a little time going through Google and looking at where they built roads, because usually you're going to build roads where it's easiest to build them, right? Sometimes you have to go through mountain ranges, but sometimes you don't. And I realized, okay, another path they could have taken was along this way here, down towards there. Again, this is that's one. There are some places where it's pretty flat and very, small ranges that have to cross, but nothing significant like we have with the Zagros Mountain. We'll get to this next week because Batman. That's right. Where do you see it? The Batman right there. Yeah. All right. Why do I bring this up? Because there has to be an explanation for it. We might not have the answer. They believe that some believe that this was the pre scattering of the people as they migrated from there. But we're going to look at some of the artifacts that they've dug up from there, and we'll look at next week what Nimrod, the kind of ruler he was, and what he possibly introduced into the people, which makes me think maybe these sites are actually the scattering of people, not the people gathering there. Especially when you put together. I cheated. I looked into the Hebrew, and it says in Hebrew, it says they came from the east. That means if the plane of if Tower of Babel was right here, there's only one way they could have come in, this way, not this way. And I don't think from the north directly down. So, but we'll get to that next week. Just want to, again, if you have a chance, look it up. Go Blakely Tup in. It's just, again, it through the archaeologists, it turned the world upside down when they discovered that, because it predated anything they had ever thought was possible.
Snowcaps melt every year.
I think they do right there. You can see there's some that remain a little snow on top, but
But they didn't stay all snow.
no, not year round. Yeah, yeah.
Probably would have stayed close to the water.
Yeah, I think they would have gone the path of least resistance, in my opinion. That's the open areas there. But anyway, we'll get to that next week, because in the end, the scripture is going to settle the matter. It's going to say they came from the east, and they were all of one tongue. That means all the descendants of Shem, Ham, and Japheth would have had to have come in eastward. Eastward is, coming in from the east as the sun rises.
Is that mountain range higher than
This is here. It's a big mountain range. They had to have done some crossing here, to get to that. Come down this way.
but is that mountain range higher than the mountain range between Germany and?
Oh, I don't know. You know what? I don't know. I'd have to. But you see pictures. These are pretty tall mounds. Look at that. This is some tall mounds there. This is Tehran. But anyway, I don't know. Kurt, I don't have that answer. So, all right. So we'll get to. All right. So this chapter is a chapter on genealogies of families, which is the origin of the nations of the world. Now, when you read it, it's like, okay, this is his son, and he begot this, and he begot that. Well, there's more to that. This is more important than first glance. This chapter is commonly called the Table of Nations. Now, the famous American archaeologist William F. Albright, now he was an archaeologist, an American archaeologist, also a biblical scholar, I think philologist. Someone tell me what a philologist. What's philo? What's philo in Greek? Right, it's a Greek word, and the roots. Philo means types, right? So I guess he studied the types. Someone look it up. Philologist. It probably has to do. Philo means the study of genealogies. I think that's what it is. A philo. And on top of that, he was an expert in ceramics. Well, he's considered one of the 20th century's most influential American biblical scholars. He became known in 1948 when they discovered the Dead Sea Scrolls, and he was one of the main guys who authenticated the authenticity of the Dead Sea Scrolls. He was a leading theorist and practitioner of biblical archaeology. Remember, there's that saying, archaeology always confirms the Bible. Jericho and the book of Luke and many others. And he's regarded as the founder of the biblical archaeology movement. Albright served as a W.W. Spence Professor of Semitic Languages at Johns Hopkins University between 1930 and 1960. And he got a lot of other accolades. But here's what he had to say about chapter 10 here in the book of Genesis. The 10th chapter of Genesis stands absolutely alone in ancient literature without a remote parallel, even among the Greeks, where we find the closest approach to a distribution of peoples in genealogical framework. The Table of Nations remains an astonishing and accurate document. All right, so as Rabbi gave me permission, we are going to look at the book of Jasher. We've been looking at the book of Jasher. It is not inspired. It is quoted in 3 different places in the scriptures, twice in the Old Testament and 1 in the New Testament. But other than that, it's not inspired. But we're reading it just to see if there's anything we can glean out of it that it's in line with the scriptures. And anyway, so we'll read this. So these are the sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras, 7 sons. Notice some of the names you see are from movies like what is it? J.J. Tolkien's. No, the one with the Hobbit. What's that movie? That's the series. Come on, the Hobbit with the three Lord of the Rings. Remember there was Minas Tirith, or maybe it was Minas Tirith. I don't know. The sons of Gomer were Ashkenaz, Raphath, and Targama. Sons of Magog were Elikanath and Lubal. Children of Madai were Achan, Zelo, Chazani, and Lots. And the sons of Javan were Elisha, Tarshish, Shittim, and Dudonim. The sons of Tubal were Arifi, Kesed, and Tari. The sons of Meshach were Dedan, Zaron, and Shebashi. The sons of Tiras were Beni, Gera, Lupirion, and Gilak. These are the sons of Japheth, according to their families, and the numbers in those days were about 460 men. And these are the sons of Ham, Cush, Mitzrayim, Put, or Put, I think it's P-U-T. And Canaan, the 4 sons, and the sons of Cush were Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramas, Zetekah, and the sons of Ramah were Sheba, and Mitzrayim were Lud, Anam, Pathros, Chasloth, and Kaphtor. The sons of Phut were Gebul, Hadan, Benah, and Adan. The sons of Canaan were Zidon, Heth, Amori, Gergashi, Hivi, Arki. That's where we get the Arkites, I think. Seni, Aroni, Zemodi, and Shemothi. The sons of Ham, according to their families and numbers in those days, were about 730 men. I think these go back 2 generations, if I remember. And these are the sons of Shem, Elam, Asher, Ephraxad, Lud, and Aram. 5 sons. The sons of Elam were Shushan, Mahul, and Harman. The sons of Asher were Mirus, Mokil. Sons of Arphaxad were Shelah, Enar, and Ashkol. The sons of Lud were Pethor, Bizayon, and the sons of Aram were Uz, Kol, Gather, and Mash. These are the sons of Shem, according to their families, and the numbers in those days were about 300 men. All right.
It's close to the Bible, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not exactly the same.
Next week it goes in we read quite a lot next week. There's quite a bit. All right, so that was the book of Jasher. These are the generations of Shem. Shem begat Arphaxad. Arphaxad begat Shelah. Shelah begat Eber. And to Eber were born 2 children. The name one was Peleg. For in his days the sons of men were divided, and in the latter days the earth was divided. And the name of the second was Yoktan, meaning that in his day the lives of the sons of men were diminished and lessened. We saw that last week, as after the flood, how the lifespans started decreasing quite a bit. Okay, the sons of Yoktan, Almodad, Shelaf, Shazor, Rameth, Yerek, Aduron, Ozal, Dikla, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, Jobab, and all these were the sons of Yoktan. And Peleg, his brother, begot Yan, and Yan begot Serug, and Serug begot Nahor. Nahor begot Terah, and Terah was 38 years old, and he begat Haran and Nahor. Those names should be familiar. And Cush, the son of Ham, the son of Noah, took a wife in those days in his old age, and she bare a son, and they called his name Nimrod, saying, at this time the sons of men began to rebel and transgress against God. And his child grew up, and his father loved him exceedingly, for he was the son of his old age. All right, now we read from the inspired scripture. This is chapter 10. This is from the English Standard Version, ESV. These are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Sons were born to them after the flood. So before the flood, Shem, Ham, and Japheth didn't have children. They were just busy building the ark with his dad. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, and Tiras. The sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Riphtha, and Togarmah. The sons of Javan, Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. For these a coastland people spread in their lands, each with his own language, by their clans and their nations. So this seems like a contradiction, because it says in the next chapter that that's when God confused them and they gave them their own languages. But in a sense, what this is doing, it's talking about that after that event, what we're seeing here.
And also, if you look at the different names, you've got Cush, Egypt, Put, Canaan. You've got Tarshish. You've got the names of different countries that are going on. You've got the Ashkenazis, and a lot of them you can still find that their names ended up being the names of countries.
Correct. So the sons of Ham, Cush, Egypt, Put, and Canaan. The sons of Cush, Seba, Havilah, Sabtarama, and Sabtez. This name should be familiar because that's an Old Testament pre-flood name, right? Havilah. Sabtarama, Sabteka, the sons of Rama, Sheba, and Dedan. Cush fathered Nimrod. He was the first on earth to be a mighty man. We'll dig into that. It means more than what it sounds like. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord, and he hunted more than game, apparently. Therefore, it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. Again, this is not a compliment. The beginning of his kingdom was Babel, Erech, Akkad. I guess that's where we get the Akkadians, and Calneh, and the land of Shinar from that land, and built Nineveh, Rehoboth, Ir, Kala, and Rezin between Nineveh and Kala, that is the great city. Egypt fathered Ludim, Anamim, Lechabim, Naphtuhim, Pathrusim, Kalshuhim, from whom the Philistines came, and Caphtorim. Yeah, so just what does the name Philistines mean, Rabbi?
Invaders.
From the what?
Invaders from the sea.
Yeah. And that's, I think in Ezekiel, it says they came from the islands of Caphtor, the original Philistines. All right, Canaan fathered Sidon, his firstborn in Heth, and the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Archites, Sinites, the Arvadites, the Zemarites, the Termites, and the Hamathites. Termites, yeah, the Hamathites. Afterwards, the clans of the Canaanites dispersed, and the territory of the Canaanites exceeded from Sidon in the direction of Gerar as far as Gaza, and in the direction of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zebulun. Remember, those were the cities that were destroyed later on. Chapter 19. As far as Lasha, these are the sons of Ham by their clans, their languages, their lands, and their nations. To Shem also the father of all children of Eber, the older brother of Japheth. Children born the sons of Shem, Elam, Ashur, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. The sons of Aram, Uz. That should be Uz. That should be a familiar name. Hul, Gether, and Nash. Arphaxad fathered Shelah, and Shelah fathered Eber. To Eber were born two sons. The name of the one was Peleg, for in his days the earth was divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. Joktan fathered Almodad, Shalaphah, Hazar, Mathveth, Jerah, Hadaram, Uzal, Dikla, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan. The territory in which they lived extended from Misha in the direction of Sephar to the hill country of the east. These are the sons of Shem by their clans, the languages, their lands, and their nations. So clearly this is a reference after the dispersion from Babel. These are the clans of the sons of Noah according to their genealogies and their nations, and from these nations spread abroad on the earth after the flood. And verse 32 is the last time we see the name of Noah in the book of Genesis. So long, farewell. What's this?
The word, you have to read this in front of the
Oh,
congregation.
yeah.
With all of these things.
Yeah. All right, let's look at verse 1. We'll go back to verse 1.
Oh, no.
Yeah, unfortunately, this, I shouldn't say unfortunately, but we won't finish chapter 10 this week. It'll have to be next week. Okay, this verse is an introduction to a new lineage. Now, these are the generations of the sons of Noah, namely Shem, Ham, and Japheth. That is what became of the sons of Noah, namely the 70 nations. Its specifics, and unto them were sons born after the flood. Now, these three sons of Noah and their wives had no children before the flood. All the children were born after the flood, and all humanity ever since came from the three sons of Noah. So I'm just going to go. So here's kind of a little breakdown in advance. I'll leave this up. Now, the following 10 observations can be made about chapter 10 as a whole. Number 1, this generation does not begin with the eldest son, who happens to be Shem. Shem is covered last, after the author dispenses with a non-seed line consisting of Noah's sons, Japheth and Ham. Now, this principle of dealing with the eldest son will be repeated several times in the book of Genesis. Or I should say, this principle of dealing with the eldest son last will be repeated several times in the book of Genesis. Number 2, the purpose of this section, again, chapter 10, involves three things regarding the status of Israel and the Gentile nations. First, God showed his divine providence in the distribution of the nations. Now, remember the Apostle Paul's Speech on Mars Hill, Acts 17. Someone go to Acts 17, verse 26, and read that. We won't be reading too much tonight because there's a lot of material to cover. But we'll read this one because it is in the New Testament. Acts 17, verse 26. God showed his divine providence and distribution of the nations.
And he made from one man every nation of mankind to live on all the face of the earth, having determined their appointed times and the boundaries of their habitation.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously talking about Adam when he says one man, but you see he's assigned people, these people places, right? All right, second, God showed the relationship of Israel to the other nations in that when he gave different people territories on the earth, this division was based in part on the number of Jews that played a role in that nation's history. Number three, God showed the unity of humanity, that there is not such a thing as racial and ethnic superiority. Even the election of Israel was not based on ethnic superiority. On the contrary, Israel's election was for the purpose of fulfilling God's divine program. And Rabbi, you're going to have to remind me, but he says something specific about that. I didn't choose you because you were big or great, but what is it?
Because you were willing to accept the law.
Okay. So again, the purpose of fulfilling God's divine program, and it placed upon Israel a greater responsibility, and also with greater responsibility comes what? Accountability. Number three, with very few deviations, chapter 10 is copied in 1 Chronicles chapter 1, verses 4 through 23. Now, since we've already read chapter 10, we're not going to read 1 Chronicles chapter 1, 4 through 23. But it shows that this was taken to be quite historical. So again, this is duplicated elsewhere, right? Remember, a matter is settled on the testimony of what? 2 or 3. So we have now 2. And to a lesser extent, we have also, I think in Luke chapter 3, there's a bit of the seed line of Yeshua, and it goes back to Arphaxad and Noah. Oh, no, Arphaxad and Shem and then Noah. All right, fourth, there's no parallel to chapter 10 in any of the ancient Near Eastern texts. Neither are those collected in Anet. That's the ancient Near Eastern document, I think. Although Anet shows other ancient Near Eastern documents having many parallels to the early chapters of Genesis and beyond, there is nothing in the Near Eastern literature to parallel this chapter. It stands unique in ancient literature. So Anet stands for Ancient Near Eastern Text. That's the short. Number 5, the structure of chapter 10 follows a 3-part division, and each section has a heading, a middle, and an ending that are parallel. How about number 6? The division of humanity covers 4 areas: geographical, dialectical, tribal, and national. We see this in verses 5, 20, and 31. All right, 7th, the names in Genesis 10
honey. Like a deer in the headlights. What international food are you making?
Can't make food up again. Probably slow them up.
You made that 2 weeks ago. You can't make it again.
I don't know yet.
I'm gonna make some Asian food. I'll probably make pancit, or I'll make egg rolls or something, and I'll make some fry bread or something. Of course, I'll be frying yuca. So if you are so inclined to bring something from your country, feel free to do so. No pork, no shellfish. Just remember that. We do have people that keep kosher here, and for some reason we got a lot of vegetarians, which I don't get. But I know, man.
Trying to lose the 20 pounds, Bobby.
No,
Yes.
no. You come to Michigan, you got to put on 20 pounds. That's just how it works.
I put already 25 pounds.
That goes with your freshman 15 that you got back in college. You never lost too. So now you're up to 35. That's good. But yeah, if you feel so inclined to bring something from your home country or to make a dish from your I can make pastel de choclo as well. We have beef and corn. And I'm going to make a pineapple cake, bundt cake with a pineapple ice cream. I've been asked to make pineapple ice cream, so I'll do that for Saturday. Since my sermon is done, I just have to pull 45 slides. Okay. Oh, the annual meeting. The annual meeting is going to be on the 22nd. Second. Thank you, David. Someone read their newsletter. So if you want to know what we do, why we do it, how we're doing it, what we spend money on, come at 4:00 here in the sanctuary for the annual meeting. Our board meeting, I think, is the 17th, and then you'll have the annual meeting here after we meet with the board. Rick Kellner is joining our board of directors. Just so you know. Rick,
Yay.
our worship leader.
Our board is getting so old.
Yeah, our board is not that Rick's not old, but at least he's local.
Well, at least you got someone young, huh?
Well, I have a couple more people that we're going to be asking to join the board. It's not that big a deal. It's usually it's just we explain. And you can socialize and take cookies, please. And that popcorn, you can take popcorn with you if you want to. No one seems to be eating it, but maybe we have to turn off the lights and turn on the movie or something. I don't know. But let me pray you out. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this time together, Lord. It's very interesting to learn about the history of our people and the people around us, and how you were involved in their lives and how they were involved in the lives of each other. So, Father, watch over us as we go out. Am I giving it to you too?
How about you?